Hello, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
All right, like and subscribe. It's a big day in college football. We saw some contenders try to be pretenders, and we saw one just get their ass beat by South Carolina.
And boy, Brandon had some things to say. Make sure you comment. We have a crazy week of unnecessary roughness in Barstool. Enjoy. Brandon, how was your wrestling thing last night?
Well, first of all, thank you for accommodating me. This was on me, not you guys, that we didn't record last night. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was in New York. I got done at like 1:30. I was keyed up. I was going to text y'all and say, oh, never mind. Let's just do it at 2:00 in the morning. But I figured y'all were in the bed. But it was good. Our guy won and had a good time.
I like the shirt, the Bring Wrestling shirt back. Can I get one of those?
Yeah, you can get one.
I'll wear it.
I told I asked the merch department last Monday if they could print me a shirt that says Bring Wrestling Back. And they said, no, it takes 2 weeks to get something like that printed. So I went out to a print shop and had it done in 45 minutes.
I also
doesn't have a lot of friends in the third floor.
I'm about to say, I feel like that's a depends on who's asking question.
Correct. Yes. And I felt like I should be in the list of who gets to ask, but I'm not. Anyway, we have a lot of football to talk about.
Tons to talk about. And I know at one point yesterday, like you mentioned, the 2 a.m., it got early. The early slate was leaning towards we might have been doing it at 4 a.m. regardless of when we could get on because of how crazy it was.
Yeah, that last shitty weekend where the SEC plays a bunch of trash bags and not a lot of great games can still produce magic just like any other weekend. So let's dive right into it. Hello, welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast brought to you by High Noon Hard Seltzer. High Noon, they have the tailgate pack right now. Tailgating season is winding down, but that doesn't mean you're going to stop watching football or sports. You're going to keep watching NFL playoffs. You're going to keep watching college football bowl games. You're going to keep watching whatever sport comes up. And when you do that and you're sitting on your couch or you're with your friends, get the High Noon tailgate pack. It has the pear, the cranberry, and that's to go along with other great flavors like the passion fruit, the guava, the kiwi, the lime, the lemon, the peach, the watermelon, the pineapple, black cherry, and the grapefruit. I think I got them all.
I think you got them all. And 2 new flavors potentially coming out soon. I don't know what network it was on yesterday because it was, amidst all the games going on. But I saw a national commercial. So obviously on one of the main college football networks for High Noon, and it was a snow commercial. And my 2 thoughts were, one, it's crazy. I know we've said it a million times. It's crazy how far High Noon has come since we started talking about High Noon, 2 to 3 years ago. Now it's national commercials. And then 2, we've been the one talking about how a cold drink is good in the snow. And then these commercials are popping up and it's like, well, yeah, because everybody knows it. High Noon is good no matter how cold or hot it is outside. But I'll tell you what, watching people in a hot tub with snow around drinking High Noon, I was jealous.
Yeah. High Noon is absolutely delicious. Check it out. Get your tailgate pack. Get whatever you need. All right. Hello, group. How are we doing? Boy, oh boy, what a day. What a
Brandon,
day.
I don't know if you've seen it yet because it just now aired because it's Sunday morning. Obviously, the Pro Football show just aired. There's a clip of Jerry. He has like the eye patch on, obviously, because he got Drano in his eye. But he does this really menacing, cackling laugh. And when it happened on the show, I thought about you. And then when I saw it clipped out again today, all I could think about was like, this is Brandon's maniacal laugh that he has, that he's shown throughout the years on this podcast. And boy, I bet it's coming flying out today.
Well, it might. We'll see. It's tougher to force in the morning than it is in the evening. But
we'll get you riled up.
So here's the thing. Yesterday started out and it looked like it might be, yesterday had a theme and it was top 5 teams, top 6, top 7 teams in trouble. Some of the teams got out of trouble. Some of the teams did not. But it started out with TCU fighting for their lives against Baylor, Michigan fighting for its life against Illinois, Ohio State fighting for its life against Maryland, and then Tennessee ultimately losing the battle against South Carolina late in the night. And then you had a remarkable USC-UCLA game to wrap the day, 48-45 win for USC. But we start with the Tennessee Volunteers.
Oh, that's where we're going to start,
I
huh?
think you have to start there.
Oh, no, I know.
Because
I'm hoping that your energy, I know you're not a coffee drinker. I'm hoping that your energy and your hate's going to flow enough, because between what happened last night in 2 games,
yeah.
I feel like it's a great way to start the show.
So we have to start with Tennessee because it was a lot of things. They lost 63-35 to South Carolina. That score actually might not be right, but I think that was right. They lost 63-35 to South Carolina, and it was a case of instant karma. And I'll tell you why it was instant karma. Because yesterday, when TCU was struggling, when Michigan was struggling, when Ohio State was struggling, Tennessee fans were absolutely on their high horse, absolutely pointing around and saying, see, told you TCU wasn't any good. See, I told you Michigan wasn't any good. Told you Ohio State wasn't any good. And then they got absolutely cock slapped right across the face by a South Carolina team who I thought was dead. I thought they were dead, Casey. I thought those cocks were finished, flaccid, done. No. All they needed was Tennessee's defense. And this was a case, so often we talk about the football teams or the personnel or the coaching staff. With the Tennessee Volunteers, a lot of this story has been their fan base and how they act this year. And to watch them absolutely have to eat it, chef's kiss. It was delicious. It was delightful.
You talk about needing a theme for yesterday, and it was the weekend of the year where we all looked at it and said, God, this slate's going to suck. Other than the USC UCLA game, what really are we looking forward to? I know TCU Baylor was there too, but just in general, from a landscape standpoint, it was survival Saturday. And that's something, that's plastered all over every mainstream news outlet today. But the biggest thing that I took away from it, and everything that you just mentioned, and we all do it and we're all going to continue to do it. And that's what makes being a fan of sports so much fun. But it is the don't speak too fast. Don't throw stones in glass houses, because it will come back to bite you. And it came back so many times yesterday, Tennessee being the main example, because they ended up losing. I mean, I texted in the group text, I love Big T. I was on Tennessee this year. Obviously, once they lost to Georgia, I was like, all right, the shine has come off. But the fact that we didn't have a South Carolina blogger last night that could have gone after Big T after the blog that he put out talking shit about TCU, and Tennessee fans ran with it, and it was all we argued about, was a shame, because it was so perfect that TCU fans were trying to defend themselves against Tennessee fans. And by the end of the day, it didn't even matter. Tennessee sucked.
The real deal about this thing is it was actually just a dose of harsh reality. Because if any of us offered a Tennessee fan, or maybe even a Tennessee player or coach, if we offered them 10-2 before the season started, they would absolutely hug us and kiss us right on the mouth. They would be so excited. But this sport is very, very cruel and mean, because the sport is cruel because we love it more than we love any other sport. It has more passion than any other sport. So when you lose or when you get your hopes up, it hurts more. And Tennessee's probably going to go 10-2, but it's the most painful 10-2 you could imagine. It's tasting a bit of the honey, tasting a bit of the success, beating Alabama, getting to number 1 in the country, and then, oh yeah, we're not quite there yet. And that kind of stinks. Jack, I mean, you watched the whole Tennessee thing unfold. What do you think?
No, yeah, you just said it perfectly. It's a brutal sport. If you told Tennessee fans before the season you're going to go 10-2 and beat Alabama, they all take it. And I think they would still take it. That being said, and this season is still like a success, but man, it must suck right now. Like, just absolutely, even for a team that didn't have high expectations this year, this sucks. I mean, and also I said this on the Unnecessary Roughness account. They've been making fun of Shane Beamer for literally this was a win for Shane Beamer in South Carolina and a loss for Tennessee that hurt. Obviously, this isn't a big rivalry game, but because Shane Beamer celebrated a third down stop down 28 last year, and Tennessee fans made fun of him for the past year, it even hurts even more.
They had to just sit back and win 2 games on their schedule that I think anybody with a brain would have said they could easily win. That's all they had to do. So they lose a game, fine. The way that they lost yesterday was so much more heartbreaking because they just had to just beat teams they should have been beating. So going 10-2 is a great season. And yes, like you guys have said, if you shoot them with truth serum, they're going to say that's a great year. But it's the fact that, like, even though they lost to Georgia a few weeks ago, they just had to sit back. They didn't have to play for a conference championship. They didn't have to run it back against Georgia. They didn't have to do anything but beat South Carolina and Vanderbilt. That's it. And they could still potentially, and I know, Brandon, you've thought, probably get into the college football playoff. And they just ruined it. And not only ruined it, they got their shit kicked in.
Oh,
I mean, Spencer Rattler had more touchdowns against them last night than he had in the past 5 SEC games.
They were going to get in, and they're not now, of course. But yeah, that's a good point. South Carolina, Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is a guy that we declared dead. He's had an awful year. He hasn't been very good. They haven't been able to score. And then that Tennessee defense is a giving thing, man. It's a very, very giving thing. And they gave Spencer Rattler the night of his life with something like 430, 40 yards, 6 touchdowns. I like just a ridiculous night for Spencer Rattler. But again, it's probably reality is reality. If Tennessee took that defense to the playoff, it would have gotten embarrassing. I guess it's better to get embarrassed in the playoff than in Columbia, South Carolina on November. But yeah, it's just instant karma, man. Tennessee gets beat, and now as far as the playoff, we don't have to talk about them. That's a done deal. One thing I don't want to do, I don't want to get bogged down in playoff scenarios today. I think our next megasode coming Tuesday, we'll be able to do that. We can lay out everything. So we'll just keep it to Saturday right now. But the playoff picture both cleared up yesterday and got even muddier. Like you take one team out like Tennessee, and then you realize, oh shit, Clemson's still sitting there. What are we going to tell them? Like there's these things that we got to talk about. But one reason the playoff picture isn't any muddier than it was yesterday is TCU's still going to hold a spot. And I give up. I think I've given up like 3 times. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're doing this. I don't know how they're doing this. They get outgained by 100 yards again. They absolutely are at death's door again. And Baylor not only lets them off the mat, gives them CPR and says, hey, get up, guys. You got to come beat us. Come on, come beat us. And TCU wins 29-28 in one of the all-time scenes at the end of the game. They have no timeouts. They snap a ball with, I think, 29 seconds left. They run it. Maybe even 19 seconds left. But they run it. Clock's running. And here comes the kicker. He runs right to his spot, doesn't even take his little warm-up jog, and kicks it right through for a game-winning field goal. Casey, I don't know how this – I don't know.
It's just magic.
It defies logic.
It's magic, Brandon. I'm not going to take this so far to say that it's a team of destiny like we have seen in the playoff, because every time you say something like that, people are like, well, I mean, we talked about Tennessee being the 2019 LSU, very clearly wrong, but there's something going on, at least in the Big 12 with TCU. They refuse to die. And the end of that game was so fucking funny. Like regardless of who you were betting on, regardless of who you were rooting for, you can't look at the end of that game and say anything but like, what the hell is going on? Because not only did they give them CPR, Baylor could have run the clock out, and Blake Shapen just didn't run the clock out. Everything that happened. And then the viral moment that you just mentioned, them running out on the field and kicking that field goal. And it was just, the whole thing was hilarious, but it just continues to show that TCU is doing what they need to do to win games on their schedule, even if they're not purposely doing it. Because Sonny Dykes tried to say after the game that they knew they were going to do that and that there was never any doubt. No one on the planet knows you're going to have to run out your field goal unit like that and kick a field goal as the clock expired, but they did it and they survived.
Jack, I don't know.
Jack.
Make sense of TCU for me, please.
I mean, they're a team that definitely has some luck on their side, but also like those are tough situations.
Mm-hmm.
These are tough games, and they stay in them. They show up when they need to. They get the stop when they needed to. Like, let's not forget that game would have been tied if there wasn't a brutal drop on that 2-point conversion.
Right.
Also, it's just, yeah, it is hard to put into words sometimes, but like they did outgain them from yards per play perspective. They are a team that is probably the best. I don't know. Are they the best team in the Big 12? Who knows? They may be 13-0. Are they a playoff quality team?
Well, see, there's the thing, Jack. There's the thing, and people get confused with that. And I will defend TCU to the death on this one. People get confused. I saw last night or yesterday when TCU won the football game and they went to 11-0, and people said, oh no, they're even if they go 13-0, the playoff committee shouldn't put them in because they're obviously not one of the 4 best teams in college football. All right, guys, that ain't how it works. That ain't how it works. It's a merit-based society in college football. You can have opinions, but if a team in a Power 5 conference goes 13-0, they go to the playoff. Period. Done. End of sentence. If they get beat at the playoff, that's their problem. That's our problem. We'll figure that out later. But if a team wins every game that they play, they have earned the right to play in the playoffs. So while TCU, do I think they can beat Georgia? No, I don't think they can beat Georgia. Do I think they can beat Ohio State? No, I don't think they can beat Ohio State. But guess what? I also didn't think they could beat Baylor or Texas, and they fucking did it. So,
to your credit, Brandon, that's where a lot of it got muddied, which happens on social media. But when you were, quote, disrespecting TCU, people weren't, and I mean, we had this argument a lot on this very podcast. You weren't saying that if TCU goes undefeated, they shouldn't be in the playoff. When you were leaving them out of the playoff, it's because you were assuming they were going to lose to Texas or to Baylor. So you've never wavered from that, because that was an argument that I saw so much, which again, people like to shit all over the playoff expansion, but it's like, this is why playoff expansion does help. Because if you expand the playoff and you say, well, we don't know if TCU could beat Georgia, we don't know if TCU could do this. If they had one loss, you start to figure that out. However, with 4 teams, there's no question. We all know if you are an undefeated Power 5 conference champion, you are going to the college football playoff. So you've never wavered from that. You've just said you didn't think that they would get to that, which they could still lose to Kansas State.
I thought they would lose. I thought they'd lose multiple times, and they haven't. Every time we talk about the expanded playoff, this would be the year for it, because the top 4, Georgia struggled multiple times. Everybody's kind of defaulted to this idea. It's Georgia and everybody else. I mean, is it really? Like, Georgia won 16-6 yesterday. They barely beat Missouri. Like, they've got potential struggle in them too. Ohio State has struggle in them. Michigan has struggle in them. Like, all these teams at the top can struggle. I would love to see just a 12-team playoff, just fight it out and figure out who can come out on top. And people love to say, yeah, but what about Alabama's 2 losses? Okay, well, if you want to win a national title, you got to beat Alabama. I don't know why that's too much to ask. I don't know why that's too much to ask.
The best thing that happened, and I know you mentioned we'll talk about this on Tuesday, but the best thing that happened from a playoff narrative standpoint yesterday was that all the top teams did struggle, because there wasn't one team like Georgia or Michigan or Ohio State that just kicked somebody's doors in and you're like, all right, well, we know who's going to win. Because early in the morning, it was TCU, it was Michigan. And then as the day continued, we just saw across the board that every single team that could be in the playoff or already is in the playoff can be beaten. To me, that makes it more exciting, because we're just going to set up 2 bloodbaths and then it's going to be Georgia. Do we know that? I mean, I think it's a safe bet if you want to make that bet, but do we know that for sure? Because Georgia scored 1 touchdown yesterday against Kentucky. So.
All right. So we have, TCU struggled. They pulled it out of the fire and they won their game, and which America then turned the channel to watch Michigan try to pull the iron out of the fire there. They were in trouble against an Illinois team who had just lost to Purdue and Michigan State at home. So I didn't in a million years see Michigan struggling as bad as they did yesterday, but they did. They faced a team that wanted to do the same thing that they do, and Michigan ends up pulling out a 19-17 win. It was a classic look ahead spot, and we saw Ohio State looking ahead too, and that's fine. I don't know, man. I look at Michigan, and if Blake Corum is hurt, and I don't know if we have any updates on that. If he doesn't play against Ohio State, I think he got a chance. they ain't got a chance. JJ McCarthy ain't it, man.
Well,
Huh?
Like, just to push back a little bit, it's not like Ohio State looked great yesterday either.
No, they didn't. But Ohio State, Blake Corum means so much to that team. Like JJ McCarthy is just not very accurate, not very good. His receivers, for whatever reason, are not explosive. If you take away the main primary threat of that Michigan offense, I don't know what Ohio State's worried about in that game. I'm not saying healthy Michigan can't beat Ohio State. I think Michigan without Blake Corum can't beat Ohio State.
Well, Donovan Edwards also didn't play yesterday. And I do believe that, at least from late last night, I haven't looked this morning, but that he will be available to play against Ohio State. Blake Corum is clearly their number one guy, but as we've seen all year, they have split a lot of carries. Donovan has put up a ton of yardage as well. So I think that if neither one of them play, there's a huge problem. Obviously, you want Blake Corum, who's your Heisman Trophy candidate and very high up on that list now, to play. But there was also a situation yesterday where once Blake Corum got hurt, they didn't have either one of those guys.
We do see ebbs and flows from teams, and sometimes we forget this. Like, it's possible they just had their worst day yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously, it was a look-ahead spot, and maybe I'm giving too much credit, and same goes for Ohio State. Like, maybe we just saw a very bad version yesterday, and on Saturday, we'll see the better version. But you are right. The biggest takeaway from yesterday, at least in my opinion, JJ McCarthy, I don't know what was going on. There were some passes that he would throw that I'm just like, what's going on?
Down the stretch, too.
Because they have talent on the wide, like Rob, they have talented wide receivers that get open. He just misses them sometimes. Not to discredit Illinois as a good football team, but they really should have won that at least like 31-17.
Well, they also fall in love. I think Harbaugh falls in love with, he's got explosive receivers like Ronnie Bell and others. I think they fall in love with the safe passing routes coming down the stretch, like the fullback in the flat where we saw a drop there, the tight end in the flat, these tight end slant crossing routes. Like JJ McCarthy does nothing dangerous as a quarterback, which is fine, but eventually you're going to have to make a play. And I don't know. It didn't look good. And I'm not saying Michigan can't. That could have been the worst version of Michigan yesterday. Mm-hmm. But to beat Ohio State in Columbus, I think they'll have to be the best version of themselves. And if Blake Corum isn't there, that's not possible. That's all I'm saying. And we'll see.
It's definitely a very warranted thing. I don't think that we're going to know for a while because again, unless there's something that's come out this morning, Katie. But JJ McCarthy, you talk about flirting with disaster throughout the game, even down that last series to get them into field goal range. He avoided disaster multiple times. There were multiple throws that could have easily been picked off. Now, it didn't happen, so it doesn't matter. We keep it moving. And I think, a lot of people thought that we might see a closer game than what Vegas anticipated yesterday, which ended up happening. But to get down to that point and Blake Corum didn't play the second half and you didn't have Donovan Edwards, I do think that speaks to, hey, just like survive in advance, get to the game and see what happens. So, credit to Michigan for pulling it out, but there were definitely moments where if they don't have their two running backs, they could be in trouble.
As of 3 hours ago, he tweeted out, "Lord, thank you for allowing me to see another day," which
so he's alive. We know he's alive.
Could go either way. But it does seem like he's just being evaluated. There's nothing.
That was the opposite of Big T's tweet last night, was like, the Vols are dead, life sucks, and then you die. Like, kids, don't enjoy anything.
I think it was the good news is we'll all feel the warm embrace of death.
Yeah, I'm gonna go read it because it was something about it was you know what, honestly, pretty poetic from Big T.
To be honest, I just how the TCU football and the TCU University account were talking about him being memed from the main page, like not just the football team page, the university.
He said, "The good news is death will one day find each of us and wrap us in its warm embrace."
Yeah. I get poetic when we lose too. Sometimes you just turn into Edgar Allan Poe when you're faced with life's mortalities. Now, TCU and Michigan and Illinois and Baylor. I'm going to save that for the shit list.
Yes, save it.
I'm going to save that for the shit list. I think y'all know where I might be going, but I would like to save that for the shit list. That is going to be my shit list today. Pussy
might
ass
as well.
coaches, man. Pussy ass coaches.
I loved your tweet, and I loved how mad at your tweet.
What did you think of? It's the first time we've really seen a coach use Twitter and quote tweet a play. That was Brett Bielema quote tweeting the kind of pick play that happened on with 1 minute left in the fourth quarter. Dave quote tweeted it.
It wasn't kind of a pick play, like it was a pick play.
Yeah, and he said it was kind of like a very petty way to say it. He was like, Illinois fans, we'll make sure we'll practice this very hard so this never happens again, in a kind of roundabout way to say that should have been pass interference. Yeah,
I mean, and officials are so weird with that. Sometimes they are right on it and call it, and sometimes they just act like they've never seen it before in their life. And it probably is difficult to see in real time, exactly. But I don't know. I like Brett Bielema being salty about it, being spicy. I was going
to ask you what you thought, because I feel like if you're a Michigan fan, like you want us to shit on Brett Bielema for that. If it was any other team it was against, every fan base would be like, this is awesome. I love that coaches are petty. I also like Brett Bielema, but why not? Like now, Illinois fans are fired up about him doing that. Like they like that. And that's the whole thing, is that he's going to keep it moving. But Brandon, before we get to, I assume we're going to talk about Ohio State, because we've been mentioning him. We need to talk about Freebird, because the holiday season is coming up, Brandon. Yes. A lot of people, I think we mentioned this on last week's episode, a lot of guys out there are struggling with hair loss. And Katie, I can ask you the same thing. I would so much rather a guy embrace being bald than try to hold on to just those couple hairs on top of their head, or swoop things over. And Freebird can help you just shave it all off.
Yes, Freebird. I thought you were talking to Katie.
I was, but you know what?
I went to the Jets game, but going Jets Bills. I remember I walked by a Jets guy. He had half shaven. He had like 4 pieces of like long hair, like gelled to the top of his head. Like I was like, oh, buddy, those gotta go. Those gotta go.
But on top of that, Brandon, I would assume, I've never had to shave my head before, but I would assume shaving your head is not easy. But Freebird makes it easy, because they have blades that are custom built to go the shape of people's heads. And I feel like that's a good thing.
Remember when we had dinner and my mom told you how ugly I was as a baby?
Yes.
It's because I have a misshapen head.
She showed me. She actually put my hand on Brandon's head where it's misshapen.
Yeah, I have some trauma back here that just isn't on anybody else's head ever. So yeah, Freebird, if they help contour around that and build it to my head, then Freebird is doing one hell of a job.
You don't want the painful nicks. You don't want the cuts, the irritation. It's designed for your head. And not only do they have a bunch of different kinds of razors. Right now, they have the Flex Series electric rotary shaver. And I'm going to tell you this, if they can put all those words in there, that means it is good. It has 5 rotary blades, and it individually fits like the contour of the head per se. Girls are listening to this, they know about contouring. So holidays are coming up, birthdays, or just because you want it for yourself, you want it for somebody in your life. The best shaver of your life is Freebird, which is previously Freedom Grooming, by the way. They have changed their name. So you've probably seen Freedom Grooming. Now it is Freebird. We have an exclusive discount for the Roughnecks out there, fellas. It is myfreebird.com/Casey for 20% off. I feel like, you know what, Brandon and Jack, it's probably a credit to you guys, because they know that you guys aren't shaving your head right now. So it's like, let Casey talk to the men out there. Men, I'm telling you, if you're going bald, just embrace it. Bald is sexy. A few hairs is not. So myfreebird.com/Casey for 20% off. That's myfreebird.com/Casey, 20% off today. Do it for yourself. Do it for the man in your life. Do it for somebody who just doesn't want that painful irritation on top of their head. myfreebird.com/Casey.
Is that your apartment? New apartment?
Yeah.
Looks nice.
Thank you. I'm in a different area of my new apartment than I was in my old apartment.
Yeah, you're in the kitchen.
The kitchens are kind of look the same. I've got my Greg the Egg pillar right here. Mm-hmm. Normally I was sitting in a different, the answer is yes.
Okay. All right. Did y'all see my death threat I got last night?
Brandon?
DM?
Yeah.
I don't know why you have your Twitter DMs open. And then you remind me that they're so fucking funny that I'm glad that you do, because I deal with unsolicited dick pics. I'm going to out a guy today. I'm not going to put his dick out there. Don't worry. I'm going to censor it, but I'm going to put that out. Getting unsolicited dick pics is not near as much fun as what you got yesterday.
If you think death threats are fun,
No, they're not fun. They're psychotic. There's nobody that can make the argument that that's okay.
Like, I love football. I mean, I love football. Telling somebody that you're going to find their address and murder them because they said a joke about your Tennessee Volunteers is a bridge that I can't cross. I like, what?
It's terrifying.
It's probably just a dumb kid, but I like, God, I mean, I could not ever imagine saying that to somebody.
Well, it just goes again, it's the whole, not to get into a long Twitter argument. It goes what everybody says, like when you're faceless and nameless and you can say whatever you want behind a keyboard, you don't have any repercussions. I would make the argument that a lot of the mean stuff that is said is unnecessary, but people can get away with it. Death threats shouldn't be something you can get away with. Just call me crazy. I feel like that there should be some sort of consequences with that.
All right. So we move out west to where USC continues to be in the playoff hunt. They beat UCLA 48-45 in a game that was filled with offense and filled with back and forth, up and down the field. Dorian Thompson-Robinson was good, but Caleb Williams might have carved out an inside path to the Heisman Trophy last night.
I agree.
Because CJ Stroud was fine. Blake Corum got hurt. Hendon Hooker lost and got hurt. Not to say
Bryce Young is still, I mean, I know they
I don't think Bryce Young's really in the mix either. I just with the losses and the fact that you have to overperform as a second-year guy. He's already won it, so they're not going to vote for him. I think a lot of Heisman contenders, Drake May's candidacy is over. I think a lot of guys took a step back or at least stayed still yesterday, and Caleb Williams put up 502 total yards in a win for USC that kept him in the playoff. And then now next week he's got Notre Dame in a high-profile game. A week after that, he's got the Pac-12 championship in a high-profile game. Caleb Williams could sneak in and steal this Heisman.
I know that you and Jack aren't necessarily gigantic fans of the Rose Bowl for legitimate reasons. We don't have to run that argument back. But what we saw last night was the Rose Bowl at its best when these two teams play, because it was full, the colors were awesome. And you want to talk about Heisman moments, which is such a cliche thing to talk about. But Caleb Williams had his Heisman moment yesterday because the game was awesome. There was 1,000,000 points, 1,000,000 yards, and DTR had a great game. He also had very costly turnovers. Caleb Williams had 500 yards, all the touchdowns that he did in a moment where all of college football was watching that game again and excited that not only the game mattered, that the Rose Bowl looked the way that it did. I mean, that was going viral all night. So Caleb Williams, to me, if I was voting for the Heisman Trophy today, would get my vote because it was a day where he's been showing us how good he is all season, but then he took that to the next level on the highest stage they have had this season. And it's a very clear path to the college football playoff to me. I know they still have a lot in front of them, but why would you, to me, it's like, why would you not give him that moment from last night? Because without him and Jordan Addison, that game goes completely differently.
The fucking Rose Bowl.
It looked cool yesterday.
I'm sure it looked cool. You know what other stadiums look cool? Pretty much every stadium in the fucking country. Okay.
Well,
and also Tuesday, we're going to have to litigate this. We're going to have to litigate this thing because Jack, the Rose Bowl's been trying to get in the way of this thing, or this playoff recently. We've been having some discussions about the Rose Bowl. We're going to have to take the Rose Bowl out for a fucking whipping this Tuesday.
Take him for a walk.
I'm taking him for a Jack, you prepared to take him for a walk with me?
Yeah, the Rose Bowl's the worst thing that's ever happened in college football.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl fucking sucks.
I would
and it's like people are like, oh, it's so beautiful. Okay, we'll build another fucking one then.
Jack.
We have a lot of money.
Jack, you can't tell me that when you were on doing your social media, you're the best in the game. I text you about the Jesse Pinkman GIF that you used early in the day with TCU, phenomenal. You can't tell me that your social media brain was not a little bit happy that you guys could tweet out about how good the Rose Bowl looked yesterday.
It's whatever.
Because you knew it would do numbers because you know
No.
people care.
The Rose Bowl's an antique. It's archaic and it's in the way, and they need to go the fuck on.
But we'll talk about it on Tuesday, but to that argument, I have seen that the playoff, like they're telling the Rose Bowl they're not going to appease them. So that's all fine and good. But let's just talk about what happened on Saturday. And what happened on Saturday was that game was awesome. It was, and I believe it was you too, Jack, the ESPN Classic GIF and all that came out. That game was so good. And if that rivalry finally meant something, and it hasn't in a lot of years, and you could tell it from the fans there, you could tell it from the game on the field, and then you could tell it from the reaction because the whole country was watching it. And I would make the argument they probably haven't watched that game in a decade at least.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna throw a question out there, Jack. I'm curious to your thoughts. TCU gets a lot of guff, a lot of hate for the way they win games, the way they're 11-0, and they really haven't controlled many games, and they get hate and guff for the way they're winning games. USC has been very, very similar to TCU most of this year, and the way they're winning games, they're not blowing anybody out. And last night, UCLA is fine. UCLA is a decent team. USC still couldn't stop anybody and still can't do anything. I think USC and TCU are very, very similar, but TCU gets all the hate. Jack, do you read that the way that I read it?
No, that's a great point. I think it's just more so, brands, right? You look at brands in the history of college football and whatnot, and TCU's kind of new and USC's old, and USC has Lincoln Riley, Jordan Addison, Caleb Williams. TCU has Max Duggan, Quentin Johnson. It's like those guys are good, but most people, unless you're a big time college football fan, don't know who Max Duggan is, and he's really good. But yeah, they have very similar. I would say TCU's defense is better. USC, I will say Chip Kelly deserves some slack today because how he handled the end of the first half last night when he could have just ran out the clock, or that's maybe just more in DTR, but allowing USC to kick a field goal. I mean, it's hard to say game flow's a thing, but it's hard but they did lose by 3 points, and they gave them 3 points at the end of the half.
Yeah.
But DTR put on a hell of a performance last night, though. Shout out to him. But Caleb Williams, holy shit, man.
Holy shit.
He's really good. I don't know if he's going to win the Heisman, but he's certainly going to be the leader in the clubhouse next year with Drake May, without a doubt.
Jack, quick question, just gets kind of like taking a side route, but because we're talking about the Heisman and you mentioned Max Duggan, I don't think Max Duggan can win it, and with everything that happened yesterday, you at least think he has to be maybe invited to New York. I mean,
yeah.
Do you think?
It depends.
Big 12, I think.
So Hendon Hooker will get invited.
We can't invite everybody.
Hendon Hooker will be invited.
What'd you say?
It's 5, right? It's 4.
We can't invite everybody.
But if Max Duggan goes undefeated with the electric offense that they've had yesterday, getting them in the position to win the game, which was again a crazy ending, having the numbers that he does and being undefeated, I don't think he should win the thing, but I think that he should be there, especially with the way everybody else has played.
All right, like Jack said, Hendon Hooker's going.
Okay.
Blake Corum's probably going.
CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud's going. Caleb Williams is going. I got 4. I haven't gotten to Drake May or Duggan. That's 6 that could possibly go. Bryce Young could go.
I bet he goes.
That's 7.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's invite 10.
You know what? Why do we just invite? We got the money. We can fly him up.
After Michigan, Ohio State, one of the two are going to be disinvited, I bet.
I bet if Michigan wins, I bet CJ Stroud is still there.
I agree. Blake Corum more likely to get not get the invite.
If unless CJ Stroud has less than 100 yards and they get the shit kicked in, I don't see how you don't invite CJ Stroud. Blake Corum would have to be injured, not playing. But why not make it a little bit more dramatic? We're gonna know who the favorite is, but invite 10 guys. Who fucking cares?
I had a point about Michigan that I didn't bring up when we talked about their game. Now Blake Corum had a knee injury late in the first half. I found their usage of him very curious yesterday. They got Ohio State next week. Okay.
Mhm.
They got Ohio State next week. If they got a 1-game season, if they win that game, everything opens up. If they lose that game, we'll see. Blake Corum got hurt with 3 minutes left in the second quarter. At that point, he had 18 carries for 100 and some odd yards. He was on pace for like 35 carries in the cold a week before they play Ohio State.
Right.
I mean, Jim Harbaugh was going to run his ass into the fucking ground. Now he got hurt on it. I don't think he got hurt because of his usage. He got hurt on a freaky, weird play where his knee just kind of buckled there. But boy, I really thought come out with a game plan that lessens the load on Blake Corum a little bit. Why don't you? Because they were going to run him into the fucking ground a week before they're going to need him to play Ohio State. I thought that was interesting.
Well, Donovan Edwards was out. That
Right.
does
I
hurt.
thought that freshman was fine though. The freshman behind both of them, as far as a change of pace back, he had he broke a couple of decent little runs. I know Edwards was out, but why not use McCarthy in the run game a little bit? He can run.
That is true. They could have, yeah. It's a
Um,
very fair complaint against their game plan.
And
But-
it goes back to what we were saying when we were talking about it, is that because they didn't have Donovan Edwards available, they were going to have Blake Corum do double the duty, which he probably would be able to do, against an Ohio State or not. But if they don't have those two guys, their offense falls apart, which is a normal for any offense. If you lose your best weapons, it's going to suck. But it's a great point, Brandon. It's like, all right, well, just because you didn't have your second guy doesn't mean you have to give him 100 carries in the game, because he has to play the biggest game of his life in 7 days.
yeah. All right. The good.
Wait,
What?
we haven't talked about Ohio State.
What are we going to say?
Don't you want to talk about something else?
Yeah, you should talk about something else, Casey.
I know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about therapy. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp, Brandon. We know that it is okay to not be okay. We know that. And a lot of things are going on in people's lives, whether it's work, it's stress, whatever. And a lot of people want to get into therapy, but they're a little bit scared to go out there and find a person to sit down and in an office and talk to and tell them all the problems. But BetterHelp makes it a lot easier because it's all online. And Brandon, it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
You know that.
It is okay to not be okay. BetterHelp. It's discreet. You can talk to a real person without having to talk to a real person, without having to sit and look at them, without having to have that. If you're nervous about that, if you're shy about that, they're able to give you the same benefits without the feeling that you would have doing that.
Yes. And, you don't have to just be dealing with mental health issues, which obviously people who are dealing with those, therapy is a great tool. You can also just have a stressful life. You can have somebody that's neutral, that can talk to you about your problems, that you can bounce things off of. And it's a great option. BetterHelp is awesome. To say that you don't need somebody to talk to is crazy. And BetterHelp can help that. It's the world's largest therapy service. It's matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Again, it's 100%. Even better, though, it's affordable. Therapy can be very, very expensive, which is why a lot of people don't take the leap into getting that help. BetterHelp is affordable. You just fill out a brief questionnaire, you match with a therapist, and if things aren't clicking for whatever reason, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It can't be simpler. You don't have to sit in waiting rooms. You don't have to go face to face. There's no endless searching for the right therapist. You can text, you can chat, you can call, whatever fits your comfortability with therapy. You can learn more right now. You can also save money. We love saving money. 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Smith. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Smith. And again, whether you're dealing with mental health issues, whether you've been in therapy before and you've quit, or whether you're just looking to have somebody to talk to, BetterHelp is the place to do it. And if you just want to text them, you can. BetterHelp.com/Smith. 10% off your first month.
Why are you getting all the codes?
Well, because I need therapy. Everyone knows that. I don't.
Yeah, but you don't shave your head. You got the head shaving code and the head helping
The
code.
therapy code makes sense, but like I said, when I did the other code, I think it's because they know you and Jack aren't shaving your heads. You're very clearly full heads of hair. They're letting me talk to the men out there. That's the thing. They're saying, hey,
All right.
listen, men, listen to her. Go bald. It's sexy.
And the reason I wasn't really going to talk about Ohio State as much as Michigan and TCU, like barely escaped. Like they pulled it out at the last moment. TCU kicked a field goal at the very, very end. Michigan kicked a field goal at the very end. Both of those nearly lost. Ohio State was once again sluggish and bad, and they trailed Maryland at halftime. They did pull out a double-digit win like they did. The offense scored the points. CJ Stroud had the numbers. They're dealing with running back injuries too. So I don't know. I felt like that was just a kind of a different level of struggle than TCU and Michigan. And it was a lot like Georgia. Georgia won 16-6. It was just sleepy time. It wasn't really, oh my God, we're about to lose time.
The only difference between Ohio State and Georgia, you're right, it was very sleepy. Like Ohio State did, the pick six late in the game obviously sealed it. There were still moments where, and I never thought Ohio State would actually lose, but there were moments late in that game where it was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? I didn't feel that way with Georgia. Like the score itself was kind of just like alarming, like kind of look at it and say, what's happening here? But
Kentucky has a very good defense. If they had a quarterback worth of shit, they'd be a good team.
There you go. Had to get that one in, didn't you?
I'm just saying truth.
Georgia, and I will say Georgia's defense, I know that they were playing Will Levis in that offense. Georgia's defense is terrifying.
If every day I wake up and I have to hear about my Miami take from the offseason and I have to hear about my TCU takes through the season, then people can hear my correct takes as well.
Hey, you can say whatever you want. This is your podcast.
Well, it's not my podcast. It's our podcast.
We can say whatever we want. It's our podcast, and people can kiss your ass if they don't like that.
Suck on Buck. All right. So here we go. We got the good list.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We start with, can anybody in the world make sense of Texas for me? Go ahead. I'll allow anybody on this podcast, whether it's Katie Stats, Jack Mack, or Casey Smith, to step up and tell me what makes sense about Texas.
I don't have an answer for you.
They beat Kansas to sleep 55-14. Bijan Robinson had 4 touchdowns. This is probably the best Bijan Robinson we've seen all year. So maybe the fact they finally got him on track the right way unlocks the key to them and takes the pressure off Quinn Ewers. Otherwise, this is a Kansas team we've seen take a big step this year, but Texas exercised a lot of demons yesterday. They had to listen to losing to Kansas, losing to Kansas, and then they just beat the shit out of them a week after scoring 10 points against the TCU defense. It ain't great. I don't know. I don't know, Jack. Tell me about Texas. Figure Texas out.
I can't.
Nobody can.
We stay in the Big 12. Oklahoma, despite all the problems and the turmoil, and as Venables the guy, despite going 5-5, despite losing to teams they never lose to, they're still daddy when it comes to Oklahoma State. They're still on top of that rivalry. They jumped out on them and just never let them breathe. Oklahoma State, as they get ready to divorce soon, as they get ready to separate, it feels like Oklahoma's just going to step on their face a couple of last times and then get on out of there and go to the SEC. Oklahoma just – you say Bedlam is this, Bedlam is that. Well, what Bedlam really is Oklahoma just kicking the shit out of Oklahoma State most years.
Do you know the overall record of that rivalry?
It's like 91-19.
Yeah.
It's one of the rivalry games where it's like if you actually take a deep dive into the record between the two teams, it's not great. But, when we talked about on Thursday that this is a prove it weekend, which it ended up being a survival weekend, but I mentioned Oklahoma because of what you just said. They want to prove that Oklahoma State means nothing to them. All the stuff with Mike Gundy talking about, we're not going to play them when they go to the SEC, and seeming like he's whining and crying. And again, like I hope Bedlam continues because I like watching Bedlam. I like rooting for points. But Oklahoma needed that from a standpoint of just being like, you know what? We've had a shit season. We've lost 5 games. We're kind of a laughing stock, especially because of what's going on with USC. But Oklahoma State, don't get cute. Don't get cute. We're still Oklahoma, and you're still little brother or whatever cliche you want to use. So if I was an Oklahoma fan, I would feel pretty good about that today. Because again, this, Brandon, you could win 0 games, but if you beat the shit out of Ole Miss, you beat the shit out of your rival, that's got to feel good. And Oklahoma did exactly that.
Oregon keeps their Pac-12 title hopes alive by surviving against Utah. They win 20-17. Bo Nix plays and plays well enough to win. I don't know if you guys were up at 2:00 in the morning when this game was ending.
I was I was on Utah. I bet Utah was like,
I was on Utah too. Is Cam Rising just bad?
like I think he's a little hurt, but like I don't know what the end. It's just this is the story of Utah this year. Like anytime they played a team worth a shit, they just like they get close to winning. Obviously they beat USC, but like I don't know how Utah didn't win that game. I really don't.
They kept getting the ball with like in the last 6 minutes. I think they got the ball 3 times, and twice it was at near midfield. Once it was in plus territory. They kept getting the ball, and Cam Rising either kept throwing a pick to give it back to Oregon, or just completely missing on open receivers and almost getting picks. Like Utah was there, and everything was right, except they just couldn't quite make a play. And Cam Rising kept throwing interceptions. It was just, I don't know. Like you talk about disappointing individual players this season, he's got to be on the list because he's been good at times, but there's been other times when it comes time to make a play and he just doesn't do it. I'm not trying to hate on the guy. He's obviously a very talented guy, but something didn't work. Now Oregon remains in the mix to ruin the Pac-12.
Yes.
I mean, that's the truth. Although, tell me how things would work, because Oregon has to go to Oregon State this week. Yes. And Oregon State is a good football team. Washington only has 2 losses and they beat Oregon. So if Oregon were to lose to Oregon State, does that open it back up for Washington to sneak into the Pac-12 title game? I don't know. I don't know the logistics of that. I don't know everything that goes into that, but it's something to watch. We can figure that out for Tuesday.
We'll figure it out. But it's also, again, just another example of how the Pac-12 has eaten itself in a lot of ways. And there's not a clear, yes, like now USC, if they handle business, they're not for sure in the playoff, but they're definitely up there. But
can I just stop you right there?
Yeah.
I said we just talk about this on Tuesday. USC handles business and goes with 1 loss there in the playoff. Period. Done.
So, okay, well, I see. Here's a problem. Is now I want to ask.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it because you got Georgia, and then you got Ohio State, Michigan winner. They're in, right? And then if TCU stays undefeated, they're in, and Pac-12 champion would be your 4th team, because you're not putting 1-loss Michigan ahead of 1-loss Pac-12 champ USC.
What happens if LSU, which we don't think is going to happen, but LSU beats Georgia?
Now we get a little crazy, because that would harm the Pac-12 spot. But it's also a spot that could open back up with TCU losing.
Do you think that unless, USC losing, TCU losing, obviously those open up doors, but you don't see a scenario where Ohio State and Michigan could both get in over USC?
No, I do not. Because Michigan, let's say it's Michigan, just for example. Michigan has a good win over Penn State, who is going to go 10-2 and is going to finish top 10. That's a good win. USC will have the win they just got last night over UCLA. Then they'll have a win over a resurgent Notre Dame team, and then they'll have a win over Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. So that's 3 weeks in a row of building momentum and getting big wins. That's 3 big wins as opposed to Michigan, who will have 1 at that point.
Right. Yeah. I can't wait to kind of like get into the weeds with it. And then by Saturday, it kind of, a lot of those arguments go out the window, because it does depend on what happens between Michigan and Ohio State. But yeah, USC is very clearly in the driver's seat there. There's no question.
I do think there's a world where Ohio State and Michigan both get in, but I don't think it's at USC's expense. I think USC would have to get out of the way for that to happen.
If TCU loses in the Big 12 title game, are they 100% out?
1,000% out, yes.
Yeah.
People are dying to doubt TCU. They're dying to punish TCU for what they think has been their weakness. So
unless absolute chaos ensues, which
I'm telling you that Clemson's sitting right there, and when the marbles start falling off the table, Clemson's going to be sitting right there, just looking. Hey, look at us,
Brandon. I am not putting past that South Carolina can't beat them.
Alabama fans think they're alive.
Well, they're not.
I just don't know a world where Alabama would be alive in this thing. But
Clemson, if they went out, sure, but I'm just saying the South Carolina team, the way they played last night. Just putting it out there.
I mean, you talk about Alabama being alive. The things that would have to happen, because you're going to have Georgia in, you're going to have the Ohio State Michigan winner in. The Ohio State Michigan loser cannot have more than one loss. So that's 3 spots right there. Now I would have to have all manner of chaos happen to get fucking Alabama in there. Hell, I think Tennessee should still be ahead of Alabama.
They lost by 30 to South Carolina.
They lost by 30 to South Carolina, but they beat Alabama, and they've got wins. And Alabama's what's Alabama's best win? 3-loss Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean,
Got shit pumped by Arkansas.
I know we're going to get to that.
It's funny that you guys mentioned that. Listen, the measure of a man is when things are stacked against you and things aren't going right. Sam Pittman at Arkansas is a hell of a coach, man. It pleased me to no end to see Sam Pittman in Arkansas stand up yesterday. And, KJ Jefferson's missed a couple games this year, but Arkansas comes home and they show the heart of a champion. They show absolutely that Sam Pittman is the guy for that job. What a remarkable leader of men he is. What a remarkable effort that was. Kudos to Arkansas. Kudos to the Arkansas Razorbacks for absolutely shithousing Ole Miss.
You know what? I can't wait.
And I'll tell you another thing, Casey.
Oh, God.
I hate to mix lists here. Go ahead. What can you not wait for?
No, I can't wait for the morons on the internet to clip out what you just said and not see straight through what you're doing.
By morons, you mean Arkansas fans.
Just morons in general. You take that how you will, but it gives me great joy and also brings great sadness when people don't understand what you're doing with this and don't understand the internet in general. But I knew when you were texting in the group yesterday, you were asking the score. I knew you knew exactly what the score was. And it brought me joy to send you a Sam Pittman gif. It really, really did, because I knew how happy you were.
Casey, I didn't have internet where I was. I needed to know the score of the Arkansas Ole Miss game. I don't know why you.
And I gladly gave it to you.
Why do you think I was just simply asking you that so I could see it in print one more time? I don't understand why you even think that.
Once it went to, was it 42-6 when I sent you the score? I was like, Brandon is somewhere in New York City right now, just beaming with joy.
Let me tell you something, Casey. I'm a petty son of a bitch.
Yes, you are.
I'm a pathetic bastard. And I love when Mississippi State wins. I've admitted this. I love it. It's awesome. But God damn it if I don't love it when Ole Miss loses. It's just give it to me. Inject it in my veins. Now that brings me to one part of the bad list. We'll get back to the goods in a minute. Imagine you have had a 2-year renaissance at your school. Imagine that you went to the Sugar Bowl last year. Imagine that you started out this year like in the top 10 and everything was great and everything was gravy. Oh my God, he loves us. It's fantastic. Our coach, Juice Kiffin, he's so pretty. Oh, yeah. He is. And imagine that you go to Arkansas, a place that's just not been very good this year, and get the shit kicked out of you, all while the coach that you worship and adore is texting on the sideline his real estate agent for his new house at Auburn. He's trying to line up his coaching staff. He's going to the huddle and talking to his running back. Hey man, don't run too hard. I need you in Auburn next year. They know it's happening. They know he's going. They know I was right. And it's just fucking delicious. And I might not eat for a week.
Well, that's not true.
Not at all. Not at all.
That is the very clear indication of how petty college football fandom truly is, because you have gone head to head with Arkansas fans and Sam Pittman fans. Sam Pittman has you blocked on Twitter because you've called him fat one too many times. But you know what? Nothing is sweeter than your rival getting the shit kicked out of him. It doesn't matter who's doing it. And that game was tough to watch. I noticed that you even retweeted Mintz. You never retweet Mintz.
What do you? I don't know. Katie must have done that. Are you saying somebody got logged into my account and retweeted his sad ass video at the end where he was crying?
Yes.
That's I don't. Jack, do you have my account password?
I think Katie and we had our phones and they both have the same case. I think I was on her phone by accident, and then I just hit the retweet.
I will tell you.
And then she was like, "Where's my phone?" I was like, "Wait, I have your phone." It was a wild moment.
It was just a mishap. Brandon, I will tell you this, that what happened yesterday in that game made me a little bit more excited for Thursday's stream.
Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just
I
relax.
hate to get ahead of ourselves, but as we mentioned on the podcast on Thursday, we have a hell of a week of content coming up for the
I know Ole
Unnecessary
Miss is
Roughness crew.
probably gonna beat us, but they're not good. Like their only good decent win is Kentucky, and Kentucky's not good. Like they're not good at all. And they got to spend the whole year pretending that they were. Yeah, you're right. I just stumbled all over your list. We're gonna have the Egg Bowl stream on Thursday night. We got the Michigan Ohio State stream on Saturday. I
With
think
Dave will be in
New York. Or no, New Jersey's
Hoboken. He'll be there with Ev. We have the mega episode coming out, so it is quite
it's called a
week.
megasode. It's called a megasode.
Megasode, excuse me. But the Egg Bowl stream, we're doing the college football show. Obviously, we're going to unveil what the loser of the Egg Bowl stream has to do. A different bet this year.
Is it locked in? Don't say it now, but is that
No, we don't have it locked in. We don't have it
No,
locked
we
in.
talked about it on the RV between MAC games, and there was never really something that came to fruition. But it will be announced, and I will say again, and I can only speak because I'm always in your corner here, especially for this game. Feeling pretty good about Thursday. Just saying.
We've thrown the idea about if I lose, I have to be Lane Kiffin's butler for a day.
And dog walker.
And I think he would play
I
ball.
will come and film that for you. Oh my goodness.
I think he'd play ball.
Of course
on
you
that.
would, Katie.
Would he play ball on that?
Oh yeah. I think so.
He does pay attention to what you say about him. So.
Oh, I know he does. And good luck in Auburn, coach.
He would like walk through mud on purpose. He would make you pick up Juice's shit.
No, that was Dan did float that out too, that you would have to be Juice Kiffin's dog walker.
Let me tell y'all something. When you're not in New York or major cities, we just leave dog shit on the ground. It's fine. It's fine.
What?
In your backyard.
Yeah, it's dog shit. That's fine.
What?
I doubt Juice has somebody picking up his shit every time he shits.
Oh,
Yeah,
I bet he
I'm
does.
Sure, they do. They live in a neighborhood.
You don't know where they live, first of all.
Well, they live in a neighborhood.
They don't have a big city there.
HOA probably.
He took the photos.
Surely he's got acreage. He needs acreage. You need to have at least 5 acres for your dog and go in the woods and shit.
I will say, when I was growing up, I don't think that every single time my dogs went to the bathroom, we cleaned it up in our backyard, but it was cleaned up like periodically.
I have a
would
5-acre backyard, so I don't follow my dog around. He can shit wherever he wants to shit.
In my backyard, we would like every once in a while go back and pick it all up at once.
I believe we called it poop duty.
And that bag be stinking.
It would be stinky, but like we would play in the backyard. So if you didn't pick it up, you would like literally like fall in dog poop.
All right, gotta be careful. All right, more good. That's Arkansas did win 42-27. South Carolina. We had one of the big themes of their fan base over the last couple of weeks is they wanted Satterfield, their offensive coordinator, fired. Hated him, awful, and then they score 63 points against Tennessee and absolutely destroy them. So he rectifies the situation there.
And Spencer Rattler, I know we mentioned him earlier. He looked like the Spencer Rattler that I think a lot of people expected him to look like. And I think I botched the stat a little bit earlier. I said 5 games. Through 7 SEC games, he had 5 touchdowns. Last night, he had 6. Pretty good.
A couple more good. Hey, Iowa going to win the fucking Big Ten West?
Yeah.
Like they're right there, and like they were like a punchline all year, and they're just they win 13-10 over Minnesota.
I'll circle back to that question. Both Ferentzes saving their jobs right now?
Maybe
delaying the inevitable.
Probably because I don't think Iowa has it in them to fire them anyway, and the fact that they need to go like 6-6 to get fired, and they're not going to do that. So that's. If you don't fire Brian, you're just going to be right back here next year and have to fire him then. So I don't know.
I think they're just maybe putting it off for another season.
All right, the bad list. You have some goods. I'm sorry. Go with your goods.
No. Before we get to the bad, can I start out with something that's really bad, Brandon? Really,
Please.
really, really bad.
Do it.
unkept junk, when your balls and your private parts are just gross and ungroomed down there, it's bad, right, Katie?
Dude, it's really gross. No one wants to look at that near that.
No, it's gross. But what's a good thing about such a bad thing is our friends at Manscaped. So whether it's for you, whether it's for a significant other, whether it's just somebody that you hope they're getting their situation in their pants together, Manscaped is your friend. And of course, with the holiday season coming up, they've got a lot of great deals. We've talked about it before, the lawnmower 4.0, which is a waterproof electric trimmer. Also, little secret here, guys, if you're shaving your balls like in the sink or in the toilet and you leave it there, it's disgusting. It's gross. You can do it in the shower. Brandon, why are you looking at me like that?
Who shaves their balls in the sink?
I don't know. I assume guys do that.
Their balls in the sink?
Well, I don't know.
Hard
Like
to-
maybe they just
It'd be hard to do.
but you know what I'm talking about when guys leave like hair around like the toilet rim too.
Well, now that's
Different.
It's a different animal.
Well, you know what? You don't have to do it where anybody can see because you can do it
Why are
in
you
the
holding
shower.
a ball in your hand as you talk about balls?
It's a good point. Freudian slip. It's my lip gloss. Okay. I'm holding a nice, you know what? I'm holding a nice, clean, shiny ball in my hand because that's what your balls need to look like for Christmas or anytime, all the time, but especially for Christmas. So they have the Manscaped Platinum package right now. It is the 4.0. It's the one-stop shop for men who want to take care of themselves, men who deserve it all. They've got the lawnmower 4.0. They got the weed whacker, which takes care of your ear and nose hair. Also take care of that, men, because it's gross. They have the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. They've got body wash. They've got deodorant. They've got the anti-ball chafing stuff, which I feel like is a good thing because you don't want your balls chafed either. That sounds very uncomfortable. And they've got a ball spray. So right now, 20% off. So you can take care of your nose hair, your ear hair, and especially your junk this Christmas. 20% off with free shipping with code Walker. There you go, Brandon. Walker.
I got the ball code.
You did at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code Walker. Manscaped. This is great. That happens every holiday season, but you know what they say, Brandon? Manscaped gets your jingle balls ready for the holidays.
Oh boy. No.
Clean up those balls, fellas.
Don't let these ad copywriters get a holiday coming soon. They'll absolutely just destroy
Clean
it.
up those jingle balls, baby.
All right. So the bad list, Ole Miss was on it because they're about to lose their coach and they're losing games and it's delicious. Katie was right. Katie was right to be.
Katie was right, but I'm not going to give her this much credit after she told us all to suck her dick last week.
That's true.
Whoa.
She did. Jack, she said it. She said it.
I tweeted it.
Jack, she went after all of us after we all picked Wake on the show.
Yeah, Jack, you weren't here for that. You weren't here for that. You were.
Yes, I wasn't. That's why I didn't remember the suck my dick part.
What happened was
she tweeted it and then doubled down on it. We were like, wait a minute, we're the ones that told you should be excited.
Yeah.
And I mistakenly listened to you.
Oh no, yeah, it's our fault for having you believe in your team. I'm sorry. You got to be miserable with the rest of us, Katie.
You shamed me into feeling guilty. You shamed me.
Here's what you ain't gonna do. Here's what you ain't gonna do. You're not gonna go through a season in the right frame of mind so that you're equipped for when your team loses. No, you got to live and die with your team like the rest of us.
Yep, facts.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm fucking dead. Dead. It's 2 years in a row for Georgia Tech, and then every year we have a stinker. During COVID, when I ate styrofoam, is Florida State. They stunk that year, lost it. Last 2 years it was in Georgia Tech. We lost 2 years in a row as I think 20 or 21 point favorite. Dead.
Bad.
And Drake May Heisman contention out the window. He didn't throw a touchdown pass.
No, that's pretty much that's finished for him. That was Georgia Tech doesn't even have a coach.
No.
Okay.
But now if we do in the ACC title, Clemson is definitely out. Like
Georgia Tech, I mean, it's impossible, but they went on Saturday. They're going to a bowl game.
Georgia Tech had one of the weirdest seasons I've seen. Like when they lose, they get beat by 90, and then they'll just show up. Like didn't Miami beat them like 45 to something last week, and they show up and beat North Carolina. Like when they show up to win, they show up to win. When they show up to lose, God, they show up to lose.
It's gross.
Also, I don't want to be mean to Katie, but like they were platooning their third and fourth string quarterback.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
that was
it
like-
wasn't even Jeff Sims. No. Dead.
All right. More on the
Dead.
bad list. I've got Clemson on the bad list because these sons of bitches are going to come back in our life.
Oh
They got
God.
beat by 3 touchdowns to Notre Dame, and they're going to win this shitty ass conference against these shitty ass teams, and they're going to circle back and they're going to be standing outside the playoff like, hey guys, we're ready if you need us. Like, fuck that. I don't want Clemson to circle back into this thing.
Not only is the team itself and Dabo going to circle back, the fans have already started doing such things.
Well, they're a cult. They're a cult.
Well-
I could be dying. Is anybody worried?
I hope you're okay, Brandon. Please don't get a drink. I'll be right back too. I'm gonna go pee. I'm going
I
pee.
will say, I mean, it's just Clemson being back in our world is kind of like, but then as Brandon, it's funny that he had like a coughing attack oh my God, as he starts talking about Clemson. But Katie and I last night were with Travi, Sean,
he
90 or
fully believes that they're
99%
back
Sean, 95% Sean McDonald, who said famously or infamously on the show that there's a 95% chance that Alabama, or what, 99% chance that Alabama goes undefeated, wins the national championship. He said, nah, Bama's back in the playoff picture.
Well, he's a fucking idiot. All right. I think let's do the scoreboard and then we'll go to
Wait,
who
there's
won.
a few more bad.
Well, give them to me then, woman.
Whoa.
I think, well, UCF lost to Navy. Like, yes, they're ranked and whatnot. But that was
You
gross.
know who else lost to a service academy?
No.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. UConn, 34-17. Couldn't cover 10.5 against the service academy.
There was no one wants to hear me bitch about it, but UConn should have won the game, let alone covered. It was unfair. It was home cooking. Like, I don't know if they wanted to like make the service academy feel good about themselves. There was awful pass interferences calls.
Jack.
UConn should have been up 14-0 at half. They were down 14-10.
One thing we don't do is complain about the officiating on this show, Jack. Okay?
That's true.
That's just not something we do on the show.
No, that's true.
One more bad. Casey, plug your ears.
If you want to save this, it's coming back.
Okay, I'll save it, but we're going to tell people there's 95,000 people there.
No.
There weren't 95 people there.
Brandon, listen. I don't shy away from telling the truth. I was very, very verbal about it on Twitter yesterday. I'm going to save what I'm about to say.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question then. I don't know if you saw it. I think somebody blogged it. Charles Barkley, I don't know if you saw it.
Yes.
He said that there's going to be a shock firing in the SEC, and that team is prepared to hire Deion Sanders. And he pretty much all but said that shock firing would be Jimbo Fisher and that Texas A&M would make a run at Deion Sanders. Casey, that might be the biggest collision of work life and home and other life that I've ever seen for you, because you are a personal friend of Deion Sanders. What?
It would be the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life outside of having a baby.
You'd basically be on the coaching staff.
I haven't even had a baby yet. And I'm already saying, listen, there's no way in hell that's happening this year. I really don't believe that. I would love to believe that. But Brandon, if Deion went to College Station, I mean, my whole life would be complete. I mean, I truly feel like it would be perfect harmony. And you know what would happen too? We would have a quarterback because his son would come with him. We would have excitement again, and we'd have an offense. And then I could go do whatever I wanted. Not that I mean, A&M is already very welcoming to me and to Barstool, but my co-host and one of my personal friends is the head coach. It just happens to be Deion Sanders. For the love of God, I would love that.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen though.
I mean, me and Mike Leach are buddies too.
At this
I just had to
point,
say that. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
Has he ever sent you merch?
Shut up, Katie.
I will tell you this right now. You should hold on to that, because I can guarantee you that if Jimbo Fisher knows what Barstool is, which I would assume that he does, He's not a fan of mine because,
Well, I think that's good for you at this point because Jimbo Fisher, gross.
well, again, I will talk about what happened
All
yesterday.
right. Fair enough. We go to the scoreboard for yesterday to finish out. I've already got, just saw the spread for the Egg Bowl.
What is it?
It opened at 5.5, but now it's at 4, which means people.
Which side?
What do you think?
Sorry, 5. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, don't make me. All right, yesterday in the ACC, we had the Pittsburgh Panthers beating the Duke Blue Devils 28-26. Florida State has a chance to have a real good year here. They win 49-17 over. That reminds me of another bad. Florida fans, y'all want to talk about Billy Napier yet? Because it's a lot like Brent Venables, where, this isn't his team. He didn't recruit it, but there's a hell of a lot more talent here than he's making it look. You lost to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt.
You called it too.
I did call it. I said that was my lock of the week. Vanderbilt plus 14. I also floated. Did y'all see my money line parlay I floated yesterday?
Yes.
It was Arkansas. It was Vanderbilt, and it was Baylor, and it missed by inches. God dang it!
It missed by seconds.
I mean, some people make it look really hard to do money line parlays. Not me. I had it that close. We have Virginia Tech 23, Liberty 22. Not a bad little win for Virginia Tech there as they try to build anything for Brent Pry in his first year. Notre Dame continues its utter destruction of the ACC. 44-0 over Boston College. Clemson 40, Miami 10, Louisville 25, the rotting corpse that is NC State football 10.
They've fallen off completely. I know they're missing Devin Leary, but
NC State. Yeah, they're not. They came in with such high hopes, and then as soon as it's got to be disgusting for them.
Credit to me for giving them the thought and giving
great
the ride.
timing. Great timing there, Katie, because my next score is Georgia Tech 21, North Carolina 17, and then Wake Forest beat. You want to talk about a team that fell off. Wake Forest beat Syracuse 45-35. Remember when Syracuse was a thing? Texas in the Big 12, 55-14 over Kansas. TCU 29, Baylor 28. Kansas State 48, West Virginia 31. I did not personally watch this game.
I didn't either.
But the halftime score was like 41. Wasn't it ridiculous, Jack? Like 41-20 something?
Yeah, no. It was like the first half, by like the second quarter, with like 2 minutes in the second quarter, it was like 35-24.
Kansas State wins 48-31. Kansas State gets ready to probably do the world's bidding. Probably they're going to go to war for America in a couple of weeks to try to take TCU out of the playoff, and that'll be an interesting thing.
Some of America.
I think a lot of America wants TCU.
Oh, yes. I personally would. I think that I want to see them in the playoff.
Texas Tech 14, Iowa State 10, and then Oklahoma 28, Oklahoma State 13. In the Big Ten, you had, of course, Michigan 19-17 winners over Illinois, but at what cost? At what cost? Indiana 39, Michigan State 31. Jack, you tweeted multiple times, Tuck coming is the gift that keeps on giving. And Michigan State loses at home in overtime to Indiana 39-31.
Double overtime, too.
Also, they're just pathetic. Like Indiana was like in their like last 64 or something when they were down multiple scores at halftime. They're just pathetic. Like they're not going to go to a bowl game. They're just pathetic.
Wisconsin.
Pathetic existence. And they thought they were so cool because they beat Illinois. They're pathetic. And also, whatever happened to Dante Moore? I thought Dante Moore was going to go to Michigan State. Pathetic existence. Michigan State fans are sick people.
Are they pathetic? Wisconsin 15, Nebraska 14, Purdue 17, Northwestern 9. And if I'm here to tell you, if you sat and watched Purdue 17, Northwestern 9, BetterHelp is available right now for therapy and for all of your mental health needs, because my God, man, what are you doing? Unless, of course, you're a Purdue fan. Even if you're a Northwestern fan, I don't think you need to watch that. That's just disgusting. Ohio State 43, Maryland 30, Penn State 55, Rutgers 10. Penn State, one of the least talked about biggest stories in college football, because the loser of Ohio State, Michigan, will lean heavily on beating Penn State. And the fact that Penn State is going to finish 10-2 with just those two losses is a big, big help to that team. Iowa 13, Minnesota 10. In the
do we think that Jim Leonard is officially not the guy now for Wisconsin?
I don't think he's the guy. Even though they came back and won yesterday, I just don't know that he's shown enough to be the future of that program. That's what I think. I don't think
They put up the job listing yesterday for the first time on their website. I don't know if that means anything.
Why do they do that? That's so stupid.
They have to. It's a public institution.
Oh, yeah. You're right. My bad.
Washington State 31, Arizona 20 in the Pac-12. Oregon State 31, Arizona State 7. Cal beat Stanford 27-20. USC 48, UCLA 45. Washington continues to be also an underreported story. They could finish 10-2 with Michael Penix. Talk about Heisman guys. He should be in the mix just as much as anybody else, especially out in the Pac-12.
Last year we had Kenny Pickett. He had like the most improved player. I feel like now you have Bo Nix versus Michael Penix Jr. for
I think it's Penix Jr. in a walk over Bo Nix. Like, Bo Nix has been a good story. I don't think his numbers come close to Michael Penix. I could be wrong, but I think Michael Penix's numbers are dwarf Bo Nix. Washington 54, Colorado 7, and then Oregon 20. Utah 17, and in God's conference, the Southeastern Conference, it was play, smoke them if you got them day, where you just play a cupcake. Vanderbilt did it. They beat Florida 31-24. Texas A&M 20, UMass 3, Alabama 34, Austin Peay nothing. Ugh. That might have been the most miserable game of the day. If Alabama's going to play these teams, at least beat them by 60. Mississippi State 56, East Tennessee State, probably the best team in East Tennessee, 7. Georgia 16, Kentucky 6, Auburn 41, Western Kentucky 17, South Carolina 63, Tennessee 38, Arkansas 42, Ole Miss 27. In Fayetteville, Arkansas beats Ole Miss 42-27. Ole Miss falls to Arkansas 42-27. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin go to Arkansas, where Arkansas wins 42-27. It was a 42-27 win for Arkansas over Ole Miss. Mizzou 45, New Mexico State 14. Arkansas beats Ole Miss 42-27. LSU 41, UAB 10, and Ole Miss loses to Arkansas 42-27.
Did Ole Miss lose?
In a game that was 42-6 at one point, and Arkansas got bored. I think KJ Jefferson left, and they ended up winning 42-27. Now, Casey Smith, who won the weekend?
Well, Brandon, the easy answer would be that TCU won the weekend. I know there were multiple close games, including Michigan, and yes, Ohio State and Georgia were able to pull away at the end. But in a weekend where it was truly a survive and advance situation, I'm going to take TCU because, as we talked about when we broke down the game, it took magic. It took a lot. It took some luck for sure. But to continue the storyline of being undefeated and doing whatever it takes to win games, I would say TCU. Also, my secondary one is the fans, because we got a really good weekend despite a pretty ho-hum slate for the most part. We got a lot of drama. Obviously, the games, the outcomes didn't end up being as dramatic as the games themselves. But what it set up for us is Ohio State, Michigan, both undefeated.
You next stop week. Taking all of them?
What?
You're taking all of them. Yeah, but you're taking all of them.
Oh, okay. Well, so then I'll just say my TCU won the weekend, and also the fans. Brandon Walker, who won the weekend?
I would say the game won the weekend. The game is the annual rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan. It was touch and go there for a while. We looked like we were leading up all season to 11-0 Michigan against 11-0 Ohio State, but yesterday it looked like we were about to lose that. It was going to slip through our fingers, and somehow 11-0 Ohio State versus 10-1 Michigan was just gross, and 10-1 against 10-1 was gross. But they survived, and it's basically a playoff game, and it's as big a game in the regular season as you can possibly get. So the fact that those teams both pulled the iron out of the fire and won their games, sets up a huge, huge rivalry Saturday. So I would say the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry game won the weekend. Jack Mack.
I would say like USC and UCLA, just the future of the rivalry. It seems like they're in a good setting. Good spot. It was a great game, and
the Rose Bowl looked awesome.
Yeah.
We'll discuss the Rose Bowl on Tuesday. Katie, stats.
I'm amazed this hasn't been said yet, but South Carolina, Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler. Last week when we did do they have the right guy? I'm pretty sure everyone said Shane Beamer was not the right guy. They just beat Tennessee, whether it's a fluke win, whether it's more Tennessee. But no, like you just knocked off the number 5 team in the country, just ended their playoff hopes. Good for South Carolina.
It had to be satisfying because, again, like Jack said, Tennessee made fun of Beamer last year for a year, and guess what? Who's laughing now? Who is laughing now? Casey Smith, who lost the weekend?
Tennessee. I mean, easy answer for me. The dunking on TCU, even though they won yesterday. When you look at a 10-2 season for Tennessee, obviously very good after the struggles that they've had as of late. However, to know that all you had to do was sit back, beat a struggling South Carolina team, and then Vanderbilt, and you were probably going to make it to the playoffs. Some people say for sure, and you lose. And then you lose by nearly 30 points and you get embarrassed and you were loud all fucking day. You lose the weekend. Brandon Walker, who lost the weekend.
Well, Casey, here's the thing. I'm going to disagree with you vehemently, and I'm going to say that Tennessee lost the weekend because Tennessee, it's really Tennessee fans. And it's not really Tennessee, the school, the university, the team, because the team is going to finish 10-2, and the team is going to it's a remarkable year for them. Sucks that it's going to end like this. It sucks that they're not going to get to the playoff, but it's a remarkable year for them. But really, when you spend all day saying, I'm not going to pretend TCU is good, Ohio State looks bad, Michigan looks bad, and then you go out and lay that egg to South Carolina, it just comes all right back in your face. And I'm not even saying it's Tennessee fans' fault, because Tennessee fans did what everybody would do, and they got super excited, super caught up in the moment, and super thrilled for their team. And they were, they championed themselves as the most obnoxious fan base in college football Twitter, and they earn that, and they like it. They absolutely embrace it. But when you lose, it comes back on you. And yesterday was a losing day for Tennessee's fan base. Jack Mack, who lost the weekend?
Anybody that poo-pooed the transfer portal, seemed like the transfer portal won the weekend. I mean, Spencer Rattler, Antoine Wells, that was at JMU and then had the amazing game last night for South Carolina. Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, and we could keep going on and on and on. But I think it's a pretty good addition to college football.
Yeah, it keeps everything fresh and interesting, and it's good for the players. So I agree.
Yeah, and then people really talked about it. It was like, we should do it one day. It's like the plan. Like, how many times has people declared the death of college football, or this will be the death of college football? That was definitely one of them. Like, nobody's gonna stay loyal to their team. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say something right now. I'm not saying anybody that says that or is like, oh, no one's gonna stay loyal. Like, you probably just don't have a talented bone in your body.
Go off.
There's loyalty. Don't get me wrong, but then there's wait a second. I'm really good at football and I'm not playing, and I don't like where I am. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah,
that should be allowed.
Here's my thing. College football players have 4 to 5 years to play. You know what they should do? Play. They shouldn't wait. They shouldn't sit on the bench. They should, if you're good enough to play, go fucking play. If you can't play at Alabama, okay, fine. Go to Vanderbilt. Go to Memphis. Go somewhere. Go fucking play. Go get on the field and play football. That's what you should always do.
And they're setting themselves up for their future. Like, the people that argue about that, the people are like, oh, there's no loyalty. Okay, fine. Stay at the first job that you take out of high school or college for the rest of your life. Never move up, never better yourself to make more money in the future, because that's what you're asking some of these guys to do. They make a decision and they're stuck with it forever, and it could potentially take millions of dollars out of their bank account. Fuck yourself.
Katie Stats, who lost the weekend?
A combination of Hendon Hooker and Drake May. I think 2 Heisman contenders that played themselves out of, obviously, sorry to Hendon Hooker for the injury, but just played themselves out of Heisman contention.
All right, now shit list time. Casey Smith, I think I know where yours is going. Go ahead.
Now, Brandon, you mentioned this earlier, and I would like a PSA out there. I would do anything to get through one of these podcasts, get through a show at Barstool without having to talk about my alma mater at this point, because it's been so disgusting and so embarrassing. Unfortunately for me, that social media exists, because every time something happens with A&M right now, it goes viral. I would also like to preface this. I love A&M. I am happy that I went to A&M for many reasons. One of those being that regardless of how bad the football team gets, no matter what's happening, Kyle Field is always one of the best atmospheres in college football. I've been going to games since I was quite literally in the womb. We had season tickets growing up since I could breathe my own air. I have never seen what I saw yesterday at Kyle Field in the second half of that game. Now, yes, I was in New York because I was working, so I wasn't there. I understand that fans showed up to the game. But what I saw go viral was so embarrassing. And I would like it on record that I don't give a shit that it was 40 degrees. I don't give a shit that it was raining. We're acting like college football or football in general is not played in the snow, rain, or cold. Look what happened in South Bend yesterday. I realize it's the South, but anybody who is making that excuse is just weak. Yes, it was UMass. Yes, it was an 11 a.m. Central kickoff. But if you are a fan trying to argue with me yesterday that the only reason that people weren't in that stadium was because it was cold, you're just delusional. You are a liar, because what I saw yesterday was fans, which I'm not blaming the fans here. If you want to give up on this team, I've never seen that happen at A&M before. But if you want to give up on Jimbo Fisher and you want to be let down with this coaching staff, by all means, that's your prerogative. But horrible showing. Saying there was 95,000 people there, I don't know, maybe 95,000 people bought tickets. I'm not sure. For a game to be that close in the second half, and you could see people running relays around the stadium, it was embarrassing. And what I don't understand is how anybody can defend it. Because I had Aggies arguing with me about how I was saying the wrong narrative. The narrative that I like to say is no matter what happens with A&M, we are loyal fans. We love our team. We love being Aggies. We love the traditions, and we will show up every single week for those players. That didn't happen yesterday. And if your argument is that it was a game that no one cared about and it was the second half and it was cold, they could have lost that game. They barely won that game. So spare me with this bullshit of, oh, it was cold. Welcome to college football. Like, grow up. People have to sit out in the cold. And then just the added, we're like, well, where were you? Well, I work for a living. I don't know. I also sat out in the cold 7 months pregnant and did 2 shows this week, and you didn't hear a fucking peep from me about the weather being too fucking cold. So grow up. And if you want to give up on Jimbo Fisher, fine. But don't get mad at other people for calling out something that does not happen at A&M, period.
Jack Mack, your shit list?
Oh.
I'm going to close the show.
Okay.
I don't have one.
All right. Katie Stat, shit list?
I don't have one, but I feel like an honorable mention back for the winner. I know this isn't a Dana Beer show. He's been to 3 field rushings with this tour. Like, that's insane. The Texas Tech over Texas, LSU over Bama, and then last night South Carolina over Clemson. Let's just credit to him for that. Like, that's just gotta be a cool time. Sorry, I know you're gonna be unhappy with me mentioning that, Brandon.
Mm-hmm. I am. You're exactly right. That's correct. Anyway, somebody said,
Brandon, who's your shit list?
All right. Analytics and football have evolved to a certain point where you see some things leave the game a little bit. You see, like, punting on 4th down and plus territory isn't as prevalent as it used to be. Coaches are more willing to go for 2. They're more willing to go for it on 4th down than they used to be. But there are some situations that arise in games that pussy coaches just can't stop being pussy coaches. And at some point, you have to go win a football game and not wait to lose a football game. And 2 separate occasions yesterday within 10 minutes of each other happened where 2 top 5 teams were on the ropes and they were as good as beat. And the opposing coach let them up and helped them up and patted them, dusted them off and said, here, come beat us. What happens is when Illinois has a lead over Michigan and they have the ball and Michigan has 3 timeouts and then Baylor has the ball and the lead at home against TCU, Baylor ran the ball 3 straight times. Now, the last time was a pass play, but the quarterback was obviously instructed, don't throw it unless you have to, run it. Baylor ran it 3 times. TCU called 3 timeouts, got the ball with a minute and a half left on went and won the game. Illinois runs the ball 3 times. They were going to throw it once, but it got called back for a penalty. They run the ball 3 times, 3 timeouts. Michigan gets the ball back, boom, goes and wins the game. What happens in these situations is these coaches get these leads and decide that, oh, my God, I don't want to do anything to fuck this up. Oh, my God, I don't want to do anything to mess this up. I'm not going to throw the ball because that could mess it up. You need 10 yards for a first down and glory. Go fucking get the 10 yards. Go get it. What happens is your team stops trying to win, and the other team is desperate. Their season's on the line. They're desperately trying to win. One team is trying to win. One team's trying to get to all zeros on the clock. It's pussy-ass football, okay? If you're Illinois and you come out and you got Chase Brown, Michigan knows you're going to Chase Brown, fucking do a play-action pass on first down. Get the first down. Game's over. If you're Baylor, throw the ball, get a first down, game's over. And these coaches don't do it. They said, you know, I'm going to be conservative. I'll punt and I'll let my defense do it. And your defense won't do it because it's a fucking top 5 team. If you let them breathe, they're going to beat you. Pussy-ass coaching needs to go away in college football. That is my shit list for the weekend.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
All right. Everybody good?
Yeah. Megasode on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Egg Bowl stream Thursday. College football show 10 a.m. Saturday.
Yep.
Ohio State, Michigan stream Saturday. Instant reaction, last one of the season. Podcast Saturday night.
There it is. All right. That's everybody. And that is Unnecessary Roughness.